This is Midrash Tanchuma, Parshat Devarim, entitled The Perfectly Camouflaged Return of God's Presence. Midrash goes into this interesting, fascinating area of trying to determine when are the end of days coming, when is the Messiah coming? And interesting, it sets first a ground rule. It says, the Messiah can't come all at once. That would be too overwhelming for us. How do I know this? From a very unlikely place, from the story of Joseph and his brothers. If you remember, Joseph, finally revealed himself to his brothers, and they couldn't even talk. They were so overwhelmed. And the Midrash says, that even though the Torah says they couldn't respond, it actually means that they died of fright and they had to be revived because it was too overwhelming. And that is a proof the Midrash uses to say that it will be too overwhelming for the advent of the Messianic times. It has to come slowly. And the Talmud, in the Jerusalem Talmud, actually says it's going to come like the first rays of light, coming over the horizon, in and out, if you've ever seen it while sitting on a plane. So it's going to come slowly. And what I was harping on was the fact that there is a certain signal that the Midrash mentions, which sounds very much like what Ben Gurion said. It talked about the gladdening of the desert. And Ben Gurion, of course, talked about making the desert bloom. Of course, the very crucial part of this sign is you have to know that it's coming from God. If you say, wow, the desert bloomed because of our advanced agricultural sciences, then you missed the point. And it's, of course, a test to see if you got it or missed it. That would not be a sign if you misread the cues and said, wow, we're really great at agriculture. So it's really about seeing God's blessing. The whole country is, the whole existence of the state of Israel is a blessing that people have to decide if they can recognize or not. And of course, it also reminds me of something else that, the famous quote from Mark Twain, which sort of gives credence to the idea in the Torah that this land will wait for us. There were so many major countries that the world powers had conquered Israel right up into the Turks and the Brits, and yet the land waited for us. It did not grow anything until we came back. And the famous quote is, "It's a hopeless, dreary, heartbroken land. Palestine sits in sackcloth and ashes, desolate and unlovely." To wrap this up, I wanted to say that it could be that even in technology, the fact that Israel, as being this, startup nation, is also a sign that God is showering his love on the Jewish people, but it would be, unfortunately, a sign that's camouflaged, because it could be that secular Jews will look at this and say, no, it's our innovative edge and our technological edge that gives us, this amazing track record of tech startups in the world, more so than European countries. But and on the religious side, some might look at that and say, well, God wouldn't manifest himself in technology. He would find something more spiritual as a sign. So both parties could miss the sign. And that's why I'm hoping that we can not miss the signs. And of course, the biggest sign of all is something that we say in the Shemona Esrei every day, V'asana kabbales sedu, that the Jews should be gathered from all the different nations of the world. Nobody could come to Israel and get on a train or a bus and not see, or any public space, that there is a tremendous ingathering. And so one of the signs that we say every day is already coming to fruition.